Okay, I think that we are ready.
So, first of all, hi to everyone. It is a pleasure to welcome you this talk discussing the human's role in a challenging society. The idea, just to give you a bit of context, the idea for this exhibition first arose in 2019 from the ambassador's desire to hold an exhibition for Portuguese artists in London. And we were actually very fortunate to be able to get Paula Rego to contribute some of her works to the exhibition to display alongside the selected artists. Paula's son, Nick Willing, and the Christy Roberts Gallery were vital in achieving this, and it certainly would not have been possible without them. Also, the Jeremy O'Sullivan, the cultural attaché at the EU Parliament's license office in the UK, was also very important in organizing the exhibition, both providing support and allowing us to host it at 12-Star Gallery. And I'll just say a few words about each of our speakers and then leave the floor to them. So Mara Alves is the curator, our dear curator of Paula Rego and her contemporaries. She's a contemporary art curator from Lisbon, currently studying an MA in art history at the University of London. Her company, Portuguese, aims to promote Portuguese culture internationally, and she has curated an array of art projects in London, including for Caspia Contemporary Art, the Dragon Gallery, and the Start Art Gallery. Ana Palma is, of course, one of the artists selected by our open call. She has a degree in fine arts from the University of Porto and a master's in teaching visual arts. She currently lives in London and works both as a teacher and an artist. Anna has exhibited as a solo artist and in several collective shows, both in UK and abroad. Her work explores the relationship between woman and nature, with the female form being particularly prevalent in her work. And in her own words, I want to say what she wrote about her. Painting and drawing allow me to explore not only this curiosity, but also my uniqueness as a woman in all its dimensions. In each work, pieces of my inner and outer worlds emerge, with the natural worlds, poetry, music, and dance being obvious influences. I congratulate you, Anna, again. And for finishing the presentations, Nina Pearlman, that has accepted our kind invitation, is head of UCL Art Collections at University College London and has been in charge of the UCL Art Museum since 2008. She's a contemporary art curator, writer, museum professional, and researcher. She's passionate about gender equality in the arts, and in 2018 set up the platform Curating Equality. Recently, she has curated projects such as Price and Prejudice, 2018, Disruptors and Innovators, Journeys of Gender Equality at UCL, also in 2018, and Edward Langton, In Pursuit of Sculpture, 2017. Her sector affiliations include the UK Friends of the National Museum of Women in the Arts in Washington and Craftspace, a national crafts agency based in Birmingham, for which she is a board member. So now I leave the floor to you, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adriana, for this so complete introduction. That's awesome. Thank you so much. So I just want to briefly explain a bit about selecting Anna. Obviously, Adriana has already made a great introduction, and that is the reason her work and her research and what she developed is part of the reason that I selected her to participate in this exhibition. So this exhibition is held by the Portuguese Embassy in the UK, and is part of the Portuguese Presidency of the European Union Council. And part of their program is focused on the challenges that Europe is facing in the 21st century. To be more precise, this focus is around the digital growth and social impact. And so my aim was to select artists that could, through their work, speak out some of these challenges. And that's why I selected Anna. Well, first of all, I've been following Anna's work for quite a long time, and I've been following her growth and her maturity and the way that she is developing these female subjects and these female challenges in the contemporary world. Obviously, that Paula Rego's works are highly relevant for this exhibition, but I wanted to show young generations as well. And then we have the amazing Nina. We've been collaborating before, so it made sense to invite her precisely for what Adriana mentioned about the work that, Nina, you have been developing thus far around gender equality, and I think your contribution is really appreciated to this conversation. Obviously, there's a connection with Paula Rego as well. Paula Rego studied at Place, and it was somehow where she creates her own creative path and unique path. And you've been leading the UCL Art Museum as well. You hold a work from Paula, and I'm sure that you want to add something more. If you want, please feel free. But thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Adriana, and thank you, Mara, for the kind introductions, and thank you, Mara, for inviting me. And indeed, one of the reasons why I'm keen to participate is the fact that I'm always keen to support in any way I can women artists who are starting out in their journey. And also you and I have worked together before, and in particular in this context, the context of the work that I'm doing arises out of the museum's slate collections, of which 45% is work by women artists, and indeed including work by Paula Rego, a key work by Paula Rego. We actually know very little of these women. And in fact, it's on the back of this that through various initiatives under the platform that you mentioned, Curating Equality, I've been exploring the conditions which make visibility possible for women. And within the collection, so drawing is central, in fact. And I actually thought maybe that's a good place to start, Anna, about the centrality of drawing in your practice.
I will start just, sorry, Anna, sorry to interrupt. Let me just start sharing, because I wanted to share with the audience Anna's work as well. So just 1 second so I can find my way to share the screen. Okay. So let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we will show the works as they are on display at the gallery, so people can understand how they've been displayed as well. So yes, go on, Nina, sorry.
No, that's fine, absolutely. I was just, Anna, that's the starting point, perhaps, about the centrality of drawing in your practice, and if you wanted to share something with us on that.
Yes, definitely. Drawing for me is my main way of expression. It's a thinking tool almost. I think it is probably related to my education as well, because I in fine art degree in Portugal, we study natural drawing from the first year, and anatomical drawing as well. So I think it just became part of myself. I used to love it before, but it just became even more important in my practice. And I also feel like with drawing, I like the raw aspect of it. I like the fact that it's completely authentic and honest in a way that all the mistakes are there. So there's no way of covering with another layer of painting. So the drawing is just that, is all the truth and all the authenticity of the artist is there. And I really, really enjoy that as the first way of expressing my thoughts and ideas.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That was one of the things that also attracted me in your work, because I think that sometimes a drawing can be underrepresented, and it can be seen as a unique artwork, and it's true here as well. So that's what I find one of the most strongest tools that you have in your work as well. These two works are somehow part of the starting point from what you have been developing over the past years. And these works were made for your second solo exhibition called Femina, second solo exhibition in London, if I may add. I would like you to tell us a bit about the concepts behind this exhibition and the creative process, your thoughts to build this exhibition as well.
So this exhibition, Femina, as you said, it was my solo exhibition, my second one. So before, the women were always my central theme of all of my work. But I think with Femina, it became more and more personal. So it became also a journey of questioning me, what is that to be a woman? What makes me a woman? Because I believe there are lots of changes in our society nowadays that makes us question that. Also, my health condition as well made me start questioning that. And this one, first, the verdad, so the drawing was just the starting point of all of that. So that's how I started creating that Femina, that exhibition, as a way of just trying to find the truth. What is my truth? Within my body, myself, and within the whole idea of being a woman. So yes, this was the starting point of that exhibition.
In this exhibition, the starting point is a series of portraits, and I suppose what struck me the most about those portraits is that even though they are different women and they actually don't look like you, they feel very much like self-portraits to me. I wondered if that had to do with the way you choose them.
It is interesting that you said it, because I wasn't aware of that until people started asking me if the drawings and the portraits were self-portraits. And I believe they are not self-portraits, but I believe that I project myself in everything that I do. So these are, as I said, my work is very personal and very autobiographical. So when I choose the women that I'm going to draw, I see myself in them somehow. I see myself in those looks. I see myself in those expressions. And probably that's why they become me and I become them. I don't know, it's an interesting process, but it's hard to explain it actually, because I wasn't aware of that until people started noticing it.
It's very evident, and that's you know, seeing yourself in others, but then as a viewer, and especially as a female viewer, then seeing myself in those images as well. Another thing that struck me was the writing, that the superimposition of text. What struck me about that, even though some of it is quotes or known references that are stated in the captions, that it feels incredibly diaristic, in the sense that it doesn't feel that it was meant for anybody else to read. In terms of the way the handwriting is, it feels much more like as if one is reading a journal, private journal. And I wondered about that.
So I said that drawing is my main way of expression, but I think writing is the same. So these quotes that I used in this part of the first part of the exhibition, that you can see that was, some of them were produced for Femina. They were quotes from other women artists, feminist art, and then the second part of the exhibition, the texts are actually mine. So it just became more and more personal as the work developed and unfolded. And my intention is more about the meaning that I put in those words. So I use them as the drawing. So it's hard to explain, but I embed in them, and I want them to be part of the drawing. I don't want them to cloud the rest of the work. I want them to be part of it. I want it to be just one more element. As I use the natural elements or the anatomical elements, I want the word, the poetry, or the text and the meaning of it to just be part of it.
I think that certainly comes across in the image that is on screen right now in Hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes.
I completely agree. I think that you've mentioned that you, at some point, you've merged, you merged with your own work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very, you can see that merging, and as Nina was mentioning, it's only natural that at some point you start seeing yourself there as well. It's very almost a spiritual creative process in a way. So it's really interesting to see that. And here in these two works, so they were both done around the same period. And you've mentioned the return as a personal journey. And then you have Hidden, which is almost like a homage to women, and where you really start questioning about and quoting from your own notes what it means to be a woman in 21st century. What roles does the past play in how women see themselves and how they are seen today? So it's almost like the return is an extension from Hidden. Would you want to talk a bit about these two and the progress that you've made, you know?
Yeah. So with these two works, although they seem to be a bit different if we think only about the titles, but they are basically exploring the same idea. But the Hidden one, it explores more women as a collective, and is more like a tribute to all the women. The text that I'm using is a quote from Virginia Woolf for one of her essays, A Room of One's Own, and she's basically talking about all the women that didn't have the opportunity to express themselves, to be creative, to be themselves, and they were probably called witches in the past, or called or maybe being told that they were insane, or so. This is a tribute to all the women that didn't have the opportunity in the past. And when I look back, I feel really privileged to have the chance to now being able to express myself and to be creative. And to be a female artist nowadays, which they didn't had this opportunity years ago. And also this connection with our body. So that leads me to Regresso, to return to the other drawing, which is more like my individual, my own personal vision, and my way of trying to understand my connection with my body, connection with mind, body, emotions, which I think there is an estrangement that happened over the years. So we are not connected. And probably the key and what connects all of these is the idea of creativity, of this creative fire that we all have. And I believe that we women have this creativity, this connection with nature, and to be able to use our bodies in order to experience the world, and experience in a pleasurable way, in a playful way, which I believe that in the past we are not allowed to do it. We're just born to have children and look after husbands and not much more, right? And I think that's just basically that definitely affects who we are as a woman today. Although we have evolved so much, I think we still carry that burden.
Yeah, we still carry some background imprint
Yeah.
in the way that we've been taught. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's really good.
I think that totally resonates, and also I think the mention of whilst we are the privileged generation in that sense, but it's very clear from the work that I've been doing that the challenges and the conditions that inhibited the visibility of women artists in the past actually still prevail. Yes. In the sense of, and if we're not looking at those conditions more holistically, and this goes to the wider sphere of sort of being able to map and understand bigger data and see, well, were there more women working in a particular region at a particular time? And if so, what is it about those conditions that help that visibility? So you can see that in other disciplines, even when you go back, and UCL is a very interesting space for that, because it was one of the first colleges to admit women. And even though women were integrated into higher education in different disciplines at different times, the Slade was actually incredibly instrumental in being one of the first in 1871 to introduce women on equal terms to men, and then go on to influence in the university more widely. But what you see is that there are particular conditions in terms of the relationships between women and male mentors, or the availability of stipends, special stipends that were available for childcare, for example. It actually made, why did one woman at a particular time gain visibility and get a building named after her where another didn't? So you kind of start to look at these things. And when you look at these things, you can see how much these things still perpetuate and influence even in the privileged generation. And that's something that we need to have a much broader exploration of if there is going to be change.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
And that kind of reminds me about something that we've talked, Nina, which was, if I'm not mistaken, even female artists had to use male names to be admitted at the beginning. They had to use fake names to be able to be admitted or to be listening as well. I think that we talked about that a couple of years ago in one of your exhibitions that you curated at the museum, and we were talking about that. So yeah, we've progressed a lot, but we still have a long way to go. Yeah,
yes, definitely. Yeah, I totally agree.
Perhaps when you were speaking about, if we're speaking about that present time and looking ahead about what might change, maybe that's a good moment to think about, in your own personal history, Anna, with respect to the particularities of Portugal and the women in your own family. In what way did your experiences influence, sort of shape?
I think when I look back, it definitely influenced the fact that I spent so much time of my childhood with both my grandmothers and my mom. So I believe they influenced me to become a feminist, not only because I was seeing these strong women, so capable and with so many skills, but also being undermined. And also the fact that they always encouraged me. Sometimes they would put too much emphasis on that, but they always encouraged me as much as possible to be independent. And that stayed with me until now, to be independent, to be able to just make my own choices and not depend on anyone to do that, or financially or emotionally. So I believe they were major influences, but also this connection that I have with nature and with understanding the cycles of the moon, and how this can influence the growth of the seeds. So that's something that I learned with them. So I used to spend lots of time with my grandmas in the backyard or in the garden, and they had so much love for their plants. I believe that they didn't have the chance to be artists or to develop their careers, they develop their lives professionally, but I believe that in their garden, in the backyards, they were able to be creative and to express themselves. And I definitely feel that. And whenever I'm back home and I'm in nature, I feel at home as well. So it's not only like a built environment or the people that make me feel at home, is also the natural places that make me feel at home. So in that way, I believe that influenced my work.
It's kind of also evident in the work of Paula Rego, and not necessarily the work that's in the show, but the fact of her. One of the things that characterizes, I think, Paula's throughout is her perseverance, her prolific production. And given the fact of the conditions in which she was working and in the society at the time in Portugal in which she was working, and the fact that she had children, this continuous evidence, she's spoken about it in various different contexts on film. She's captured on camera talking about how that continuity and that perseverance whilst balancing the other roles was really central. And of course the works, Mara, that you chose with Paula and her son Nick Willing for the show, maybe there's an opportunity to say something about that.
Yes, definitely. You were just mentioning about her, Paula Rego's on challenges, and the fact that she even had to hide some of her work. Well, one of them is on show at the moment for the first time, which is quite exciting. So she did this work in 64, and it was a direct critic to the Salazar regime. So it was a message against oppression, you know. Why the reason that Paula Rego's work is so relevant for this show is precisely because you look at the work that she addressed certain problematics 20, 30 years ago, and these are very much current and happening these days. And so that's why it is important to continue addressing these problematics and showing this type of work that challenges us and questions what is wrong within society. So, you know, and so it is interesting that she said that fortunately she doesn't have to hide this work anymore now. But we certainly live other type of oppression, right? So I guess that in a way, this kind of ties us really beautifully with these three works that we are now seeing as well. So in a way, Anna, you've used your own body to create. So your own body has a tool to do your work, to create. And you've mentioned about the way that sometimes women have to hide their work, have to even hate their work, which is another.
The sound is
yes.
Sorry.
I think you're breaking out, Mara.
You're breaking up.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I was mentioning about the fact that you were using your own body, and this work has the tool for your work, for kind of reaching the final product in a way, and how you've mentioned about going to questions of how women are still or sometimes need to hide their bodies or to even hate them. And I wanted you to talk a bit about the process behind this work, because it's very
Mara, you broke up. So perhaps broke up, so I'm not sure that your question to Anna was comprehended by our participant audience. Perhaps I could jump in to
yes, please.
reiterate. I think Anna, what I understood what Mara was trying to address was looking at these three works that express the sort of development and maturity in relation to the previous earlier works, and in which you're using your own body as a printing material. And I think she was asking, perhaps you might say something about that. And also about the color and the natural elements. Mara, is this capturing
Yes.
what you were saying? Okay, yeah. we overcame that technical.
Okay. Well, thank you. Regarding what Mara was saying about Paula Rego, that she has had to hide some of her works, I don't feel like we need to hide the works now, but they still cause uncomfort and embarrassment, I believe. In this case, these works are very recent, and they put me in a very vulnerable position as well. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to exhibit or not, because they are a natural evolution of the exhibition Femina. So my work just became, from using other women's portraits, it just evolved in a natural way to just use myself as a tool, as imprinting my body in the paper and canvas, and also using my own text, using my own words to express my feelings and my emotion. And the psychological and physical struggles that I've been going through in these 2.5 years since that first exhibition was created, because of the fact that I don't have a cycle. So that health condition definitely influenced all my work over the past years. And in this case, I just think it was just a natural evolution and a way of me just trying to find other ways to understand my body and what was going on with it and what's still going on with it. So the colors, it's very hard for me to explain, but I just felt I was doing these black and white drawings with just a few brush strokes, but I was feeling the need to go back to painting. However, I want to explore the relation between painting and drawing, because I don't want the drawing to disappear, which is a very hard thing to do, but that's what I want to do with these works. And the natural elements, instead of just focusing so much on natural elements, I'm using more anatomical elements in this case. It's almost like I'm seeing my body x-ray. So I was printing it to see it like a self-portrait, a direct self-portrait, but at the same time, I was just trying to understand what was in it. It was almost like it was a cathartic process. It has been a cathartic process. And these three works, I think they expressed that very well, just using my work as a way to not only understand what is going on, but also to project in the future what could happen as well. So probably those colors are related to what I want to happen in the future. And most of them, they have the colors of the women's period, and also women's genital organs as well. So that is definitely related. And there are also some flowers there. So it's just my passion for nature and my plants. So I try to use my plants as well in my drawings, or drawing them, or actually using them directly, as you can see in the one in the middle. I don't know if I really answered your question, Mara. Did I?
Yes. I think, I'm not sure if you can hear me now, but can you hear me?
Bit broken up again.
It's broken. Oh my God! Sorry, guys. It's unstable, my connection.
That's a bit better.
No, but it did answer the question. Can you hear me?
I note that these works are done in basically the year of the pandemic. and many artists sort of retreated from the studio into their domestic space, which affected changes in their work, whether that was about scale or subject matter, often moving from the studio to the kitchen table or the bedroom, depending. I wondered if, for you, these works, the pandemic and retreating to that domestic space had an impact on the.
First of all, since I moved to London, my work was always produced in a domestic space. So I never had a studio here in UK. And I think those were the most productive years of my life. So whenever you need to express yourself, you'll find ways, no matter if it's on the kitchen floor or in a tiny bedroom, you'll always find ways, I believe. The pandemic affected me in a way that we were confined, so there was nothing else to do. So we had to turn into ourselves. And whereas in normal circumstances, we just get distracted by going to our work, just socializing, being with other people, being outdoors. So we don't have that much time to do self-reflection and looking to ourselves. So I think it was a great opportunity to do that once more. I already do it quite a lot, but during the first lockdown, especially, I was doing a lot of journaling. And that's when I did this first prints. I didn't know what I was going to do with them, but this came after a few frustrating phone appointments with some of the doctors. And I just felt like I had to do something about it. And there was no way of distracting myself from it because I was at home. I couldn't just go out and see my friends to not think about it. So I really had to confront myself with that and deal with it in the best way that I can, which is through my art.
It was a very creative retreat for you, Anna, then, right?
Yes, and unfortunately, some of these works were finished very recently that I had to spend my annual leave at home because it was lockdown. We had a very long lockdown here in the UK, so I couldn't go anywhere. And it was freezing cold outside because it was proper winter. So I just decided to spend all my annual leave just finishing all these works, which I'm quite glad I did, because now I have the chance to show them to the world.
Yeah, definitely. It was very, very good work, this latest work. And by the way, I will show the last two that are in the exhibition as well. And let's see. So let me just check the time. Right. Okay. So maybe Anna, you could tell us a bit about these two works. And then we could maybe open the floor to receive some questions from the audience. Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah. What I can tell, let me see if I can summarize. But these two works, they were inspired by the myth of Persephone and Demeter. So in this case, I see the myth. There are different versions of the myth and different interpretations, but I see it as it talks about creativity in the end. It talks about fertility. So whenever Persephone was kidnapped, Demeter became infertile. And that's related to the cycles, but that's related to creativity as well, because we women, we have these, we can create things with our hands, but with our bodies as well, not only art, but we can also create human beings. So that's related to my cycle and my own struggles, but it's also related to the creative process and to understand these cycles of death, life, and rebirth, and that they are all connected. So we kind of run away a little bit from going to the underworld and to our shadows and to do that kind of work. But sometimes we really need to go through difficult times in order to give birth to ourselves again. we really need to go through death in order to come to life again. And that can be done through the creative process. And in one of the versions of these, and one of the interpretations of these myths, is that Demeter, she became more fertile because Persephone came from the underworld, obviously, but also because she became more playful, and she became more, she started laughing more. And this is just a very, very basic and very shallow interpretation of it. So there was much more that we could just do the whole talk about these myths, which I find very interesting. But it ties up well with my last works as well, the paintings and the drawings, more colorful, because I was enjoying much more the process. So I was not focusing on the result. I was just trying to be more playful and having more fun. So instead of being such a painful and frustrating process as it normally is, I was just trying to, okay, let's try to experiment, let's try to play with the materials, let's try to explore different ways of expressing myself. So yeah, I think these works, I'm not really going to depth in the meaning of these two, but I believe that I've already answered a little bit of a question.
Yes, it's really, I think it's really important and brave of you to kind of develop this thematics, because it's not something that we usually talk about as well. And these are quite strong. So I do believe that there's something that is still more to come, right? So definitely. Thank you so much for developing these body works and being in this path as well of self-discovery, which I think in a creative way, sometimes it has very good results as well, not only visually, but mentally as well. So I think it's very important to address that, right?
Thank you, Mara.
No. I think probably I'll stop sharing the screen, and maybe we can take some questions from the audience. Unless, Nina, do you want to say something else?
No, I think it's a good time to break to invite the audience. But I suppose just maybe a comment in relation to what Anna just said about her use of these myths, and also considering a different perspective in looking and evaluating what we might call the value of women's life. And it is an unfortunate situation whereby, especially Anna mentioning the health issues in relation to the loss of cycle, that in fact, all the health industry around women is around those stages around reproductive health, even though there is a of women's well-being. So there's a long way to go, and it's great to have these works that address these things and bring this conversation to the fore. And one of the things that is really rather remarkable in this exhibition is the fact that it is an exhibition that is got the it's been organized by the embassy. It sits in, for those who are unable to visit and who don't know this or don't know the space, it's in Europe House on the road from Millbank. It's in the foyer of this building. And what you have in the foyer is Anna's works that you can see on screen, and then immediately followed by Paula Rego's prints that all deal with abortion, FGM, female genital mutilation, and female trafficking. And all of this is in this very public space. Usually this is in niche galleries or in has the oversight and the protection of the museum to be able to express these things. And I wondered there, a question for you, Mara, is did you have to, was it hard? Did you have to challenge anybody to actually get this shown?
That's a good question. That's a good question, Nina. And hopefully you can hear me now. Okay, that's good. Just leaving a side note, if you want to leave any questions in the chat, you can leave them, or you can raise your hand by clicking on the emoji icon at the bottom of the screen. So make sure you make any questions at all if you want to. To answer your question, Nina, I wasn't challenged at all, to be honest. I had full control over the selected works, either from Paula Rego or from Anna and Cliff, which is quite exciting, because in a way I had previous challenges and struggles when selecting some artists or some works which could be more self-provoking. So this was really smooth, because I always made the connection and made the point that if we are integrating the challenges that we are facing in the 21st century, we need to address them. So we need to address them head on. So it is also a curator's role to create a balance between what is called like visually light art and self-provoking art, and we need to be able to show both, right? I think it is important to do that. And as I mentioned before, the fact that Paula Rego's works are still so current in some of the problematics that she represented many years ago, I wanted to create that connection with younger generations that are also addressing other types of problematics. And so that was my aim, to be able to show that, because that's probably art serves that purpose as well. It's a tool to address what is right and what is wrong. So we need to be able to share both thematics. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone is being so shy. No,
any questions, we can fill the void for sure.
Of course.
You can use the chat box as well.
Yeah,
Shy to ask.
Exactly, you can definitely use the chat box if you don't want to.
Whilst we're warming up, Mara, Anna, maybe you want to say a little bit about when and where you first encountered Paula's work, perhaps?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember perfectly. So it was in my first year of university when I was studying fine art, and she had her first retrospective exhibition in Serralves Museum in Porto. And I think it was the first time that I saw her work live, and it just completely blew my mind. I love it, especially because I was already passionate about drawing, and seeing someone just using it in such a impressive and strong way. I remember that I was also struck with the way she was portraying women, and all these strong women, which I definitely relate to what I've seen in my grandmas as well, because all the women, they are not delicate women, the ones that Paula Rego represents. And also all the men are very fragile as well. If they ever appear, they were all very fragile. So all of these, and the way she started using pastel, and for me, she's painting, we can consider it painting, but with the characteristics of drawing, which for me was very interesting to see. So it had a massive impact. So since then, I just completely fell in love with her work. And I used to listen to some of her interviews, and I love the fact that she's so genuine and so authentic. So she's not trying to create like all these beautiful philosophical stories around her work. She's just, it is what it is. and I really appreciate that authenticity of her. Yeah.
Right. Well, we have a question. Thanks, Joanna. We have a question for you from Luciana Rosado, and she asks, hello, thank you so much. I would like to know which artists are Anna's preferences. So we have Anna, we have Paula Rego that you were talking about, but any other artists that are serve as an inspiration or role model to you in terms of?
Yeah, I have quite a few. Some more recent ones, some a bit more. For example, Francisco Goya and Lucientes. Francisco Goya is one of my. I love his prints as well. His drawing, not the work that he did for the royal family, but the works that he did, the dark paintings and all the prints. So those for me are the most interesting. They can be a bit disturbing, but I do like the way he expresses his concerns and his emotions. Lucian Freud as well has like these, is also a figurative artist. So most of my influences are figurative artists, which they were not very popular a few years ago when I started university as well, but they are becoming a bit more popular nowadays. Lucian Freud, let me think, Larry Rivers is another one. Graça Moraes, Portuguese artist with very strong roots as well. Let me think about. There's a recent one that I've been really enjoying her work, which is Tracy Emin, for example.
Oh yeah.
I really want to go to see her exhibition in Royal Academy. So yes, I think those are my main influences. From the ones that I can remember now, and obviously Paula Rego.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna. Thank you so much.
I can ask one more question if there's.
Yes, please do.
I think that it's important to honor the beetle in the world. The beetle has a central stage in many of the works, and perhaps we need to know where this beetle is.
Yes, I agree.
About the identity of the beetle.
Yes, I agree.
Being, I can start being Paula Rego in my answer. So first of all, I love the shapes and I love the colors of the beetles. I think that's, so when you draw something, you need to enjoy doing it. And I do enjoy drawing them because of that. But the second thing that comes to my mind is their symbology. So not only for the Egyptians, but beetles, they represent the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. As I talk a lot, this whole idea of metamorphosis as well, which I believe we go through as women every month, but in our lives as well, through all our difficult times that we go through. So yes, that symbology is definitely part of the work. Yeah, art is basically creating symbols and meanings to express ideas, right? So I think that's what I try to do when I use beetles in my artwork.
Yeah, you can definitely.
Do you have a collection of beetles?
Yes, I do have a small. Most of people think it's very weird, but I do have a small collection of beetles. I hope I can grow it a bit more. This year I couldn't go to the entomology fair, so hopefully next year I can go there and just get some new babies for my collection. So I use my collection to draw, but I also had the chance to visit the private collection in the Natural History Museum here in London. I had the chance to do that, which was an amazing experience because these creatures, they can be really, really beautiful and inspiring.
That's really interesting. You are using almost symbols and natural elements to create your own symbology, which is quite interesting. So yeah, that's
really my own symbolic language, probably.
Exactly, create your own language. That's very important. Yes, I agree. Really good. Yeah. Okay, so I guess that if there are any more questions, I guess that we can end for today. And obviously that I need to just mention that we are hosting these online talks every week. So next Tuesday, same time, we will have Cliff Andrade, which is the other selected artist with Catering Fund. And then the week after, we will have some art professionals and scholars that are close to Paula Rego's work in conversation with me about the working show. Oh, there's a note from Tandy Morgan. This was really interesting discussion. Thanks, Nina, for asking the question regarding the vehicles. So I guess that Tandy wanted to ask for you to ask the report. That's great. Thank you, Tandy. And yeah, I think that I just need to thank Nina. Thank you so much for accepting to participate in this conversation, for contributing. So it's a pleasure to talk with you. and Anna, obviously, thank you so much, because I think it is important to give this opportunity to people that are not able to see the show and won't be in London even to see the show in person. So these type of events are always good to kind of spread the word and give the chance to people to know your work better, and you as well as an artist.
Well, thank you for having me and for giving me the opportunity to also explain my work and talk a little bit more about my work, which I believe the work should speak for itself. But I also think that it is interesting to understand the behind the scenes and the motivations and inspirations behind. I think it just gives a little bit more depth to the work. So I hope everyone that is here, thank you so much for being here. And if you have the chance to visit the exhibition in the gallery, it will be held until the 16th of July, right?
Yes, I'm just copying paste the link from the gallery, because Malcolm Dixon just asked where we could see the exhibition. So here is the link in the chat. So you can actually see the information about the exhibition, the address as well, and there will be other type of event. The catalog is there, and then there will be the interviews as well, which we will share during the week. Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for putting it together.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you.
And if anyone has any feedback regarding the exhibition, please feel free to get in touch to social media. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah. And thank you so much, Nina and Mari. It was really a pleasure to be here with you and to be able to have all these interesting talks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna and Nina, and thank you everybody who attended today. Thank you.